Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. This is the high school football recap show for week 6, brought to you by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to hear about Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance and along with our other sponsors right before the show. Make sure you stick around midway through the show for another word from our sponsors. And again, at the end of our show, my name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Sean Duffy, Dr. Hoops, Noah Jacobson, and Josh Jeffy. We have a full crew here tonight, and we got a lot to get to. You're watching this live on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. Get the notifications. We're about to go live on the air. We are also on Facebook at Sports on Tap. Follow us on X/Twitter at SOT Podcast. We're also on Threads at SOT_podcast. You can also check us out on Spotify at Sports on Tap. And, of course, our website is sportsontappodcast.com. For any questions, comments, statistics, suggestions, pronunciations, or general commentary, make sure you email us at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. We got a lot to get to today. We are in week 7 of the high school football season. We're getting real close to starting to really tone in on playoff positioning here. Who's going to make the playoffs, and if your favorite team has the potential to host, how many games could they host, and the like. So as the season continues on, we'll start focusing a little bit more on that over the course of our recaps. But for today, we were at 3 games last week. Josh was at Westlake and Bay, Noah was at Cleveland Heights and Strongsville, and Rob was at Avon Lake and Amherst. We will cover all of those games over the course of our conference recaps. And at 8:30 tonight, we are going to be joined by Bay senior guard and defensive tackle Braeden Capretto. He's going to join us tonight to talk about the Rockets and talk about their game and how their season is going as well. And then, of course, we will have our Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week contests. We will go through that. Each conference has their nominees. Make sure you go on our Twitter page at SOT Podcast to make your votes before those official results come in.
Well, just a quick side note with that, Ed. So math not being my strong suit, went to add up some time. So the poll won't officially close for another 4.5 hours. So you still have plenty of time.
Right.
Totally my bad on that. But at any rate, it's we got a lot of votes and it's really close right now. So head over our Twitter page and get your vote in sometime within the next 4.5 hours.
Very good. That's a breaking news right there from our EVP of social media content, who's giving the people what they want. They want more time to vote, more votes. So without further ado, let's get to our recaps. As always, we start with the Southwestern Conference with our technical director, Rob Troutman. Let's get it going here, Rob.
All right, Ed, thank you. We'll start in the Southwestern Conference for Week 6. Let's start with Avon versus Olmsted Falls, and this was at Olmsted Falls, and it was a little bit closer than the score would indicate on the scoreboard. It says 35-14, which was the final there, but it was a pretty close game throughout as Avon running back Cam Wendell, he scored first from 6 yards out in the first quarter. It was 7-0 Avon in the first quarter. Then Olmsted Falls, they would answer with an 11-play, 62-yard scoring drive that was capped off by senior quarterback Jimmy Rossell. He had a 9-yard run on the first play of the second quarter. Game was tied at 7, and at halftime it was 14-7 Avon. So Olmsted Falls was hanging around. Then in the second half, Coach Elder must have said something at halftime. He got 21 unanswered points before Olmsted Falls would score in the fourth quarter with running back Kai Gilbert on a 7-yard run. Avon wins this one 35-14, and it was Avon quarterback Nolan Good. He threw for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Matt Maxey, 7 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. Grant Barr, 5 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. And Cam Wendell, the running back, 9 rushes, 50 yards and a touchdown. For Olmsted Falls, they had a few running backs get some different kind of runs here. They had 7 rushes by Kai Gilbert, 34 yards and a touchdown. Owen Singleton, the other runner, had 32 yards in a rushing score. And then Jimmy Rossell also had some rushing yards in there. They mixed it up with about 4 or 5 different guys running the ball, but Avon's defense really kept them in check. Again, Avon stays undefeated at 6-0, 3-0 in conference with a 35-14 win. Olmsted Falls to 4-2, 1-2 in conference. Berea Mid Park versus Midview. And this game was an absolute defensive battle. And it was the Titans. They would score first as quarterback Danny Bowser threw a touchdown pass in this game. And after one quarter, it was 7-0 Titans. Midview, though, they would respond on a 4th and 1 as quarterback Shea Williams would go 42 yards for a touchdown run. It was tied at 7. Then at half, the score was still tied at 7. So not much scoring there in the first half, but in the second half, offense still was a little bit tough to come by, but it was Midview scoring with running back Michael Passarello Jr. With a 5-yard touchdown run. And kicker Ethan Morris, he continues his successful season, a 28-yard field goal. The Middies hold on for a 16-7 win on their homecoming. Berea Mid-Park falls to 1-5, 0-3 as Midview improves to 4-2, 1-2, again with a 16-7 win over Berea Mid-Park. Elyria, they traveled to North Ridgeville, and North Ridgeville, they jumped out in this one, and they weren't messing around. 21-0 they led in the first quarter, and then it was Charlie Steinmetz as he would score with a 14-yard run. Cole Miller connected with Landon Nepshield from 52 yards out in the Rangers. They just dominated on all phases of this game as they would score another 28 points in the second quarter. North Ridgeville wins big in this one, 56-7. For the Rangers, it was quarterback Cole Miller as he passed for 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. Running back Zach Barnhart with 84 yards rushing. And the lone bright spot really for Elyria, it was a score by wide receiver Steve Maher. He had 6 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown, so he's putting up some nice numbers. Even though the offense might not be there, and they're still probably trying to figure out that offense under a new scheme there. So it's going to be a learning process for them. But they got on the board there. Again, it was Elyria falling 56-7 versus North Ridgeville. They're 0-6, 0-3 as Elyria, as North Ridgeville improves to 5-1, 2-1 in conference. All right, we'll go to what was the Southwestern Conference game of the week, and we'll get this up here quick for you as I was out in Amherst, and this was a great game. Avon Lake versus Amherst. Amherst has had all kinds of problems with Avon Lake as they haven't been able to beat them for a long time now. I can't remember what they said. For some reason, I thought they said 24 was a magic number for Amherst as they haven't been able to beat Avon Lake. And this was a physical game, really, by both teams. And that's exactly what we got the whole game. The weather was not great in this one, but Avon Lake, they started off hot as there was a turnover by Amherst on an interception. And the Shoremen, they really took advantage as they would score from 4 yards out with running back Anthony Benedict. And he was all over the place in this one. And that's the one thing I thought Avon Lake did really well in this game. They controlled the line of scrimmage and were successful running the football. So Anthony Benedict got on the board first. It was 7-0. Then the Shoreman defense would stop the Comets offense again. And Avon Lake, they would move the ball down the field. And at one point, they jumped out to a 28-0 lead after the third quarter. Really, Amherst could get nothing going in the first half and really into the third quarter. So then it was wide receiver Aiden Stewart. He scored twice, and Sam Ferrone scored on a punt return from 75 yards out. So we'll move to the fourth quarter where the rain, it really got a lot heavier in this game. And Amherst, they actually enjoyed it seemed like, as Cole Norris, he had no problem throwing the football in the rainy conditions, as Amherst would score 20 unanswered points, and it was Cole Norris. He had success passing as he hit Tristan Young twice, and Peyton Gillis scored on a punt that was fumbled by Avon Lake. And the fans who stayed in the pouring rain, they were absolutely going nuts, as it was 28-20 in the fourth quarter. The Comets, their defense would stop Avon Lake once more as they would go into the fourth quarter with the ball. And it was late into the fourth quarter. They had one more chance to try to go down and tie the game. And the defense of Avon Lake would stop them. And the Shoremen escaped with a 28-20 win. The Shoremen got back quarterback Alex Afalter, and it was a big one as he came back and threw for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Alex Kowalski ran for 75 yards, and it was wide receiver Aiden Stewart who had 6 catches for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. and he was a man on a mission here. He just was really impressive in this game. And for Amherst quarterback Cole Norris, he threw for 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Tristan Young 4 catches, 59 yards, and 2 touchdowns. My SWC Player of the Week was Avon Lake wide receiver Aiden Stewart. We had a chance to talk to him on the show last week, so go back and watch that on the Sports on Tap YouTube page or our website at sportsontappodcast.com. He had 6 catches for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns in the 28-20 win over the previously undefeated Amherst Comets. Now, week 7 in the Southwestern Conference, it's Amherst taking on Olmsted Falls. That should be a really good game. Berea Mid-Park takes on Avon. Avon Lake travels to Elyria. And then the rivalry, and every year throw out the standings, because whoever's on top, it doesn't really matter. Midview and North Ridgeville are going to be a really good game. It doesn't matter what the records are there. That should be a really good one. And that's for week 7 in the Southwestern Conference.
Rob, great work as always. The weather wasn't exactly ideal this weekend. For the most part, 4 out of the 6 weeks, it's been really, really good. Those other 2 weeks have just been there. Really hasn't been an in between. Like you said, it didn't really stop Cole Norris from being able to sling the ball around a little bit from Amherst. I mean, that's kind of a lot of what Amherst does, rides off of his arm and also his legs. But Avon Lake, I mean, we knew this going into the game. I mean, Avon Lake tough defensively, and they are more than capable of being able to go up against any team on their schedule and put it and win that game. What was the biggest thing about that game that stuck out to you?
Well, I thought the Avon Lake defense really forced Cole Norris to move around in the pocket quite a bit. He didn't have a lot of chances to run the ball. They really kept him contained. J.R. Byers, they really took away the running game, I thought. And I was impressed, though. Cole Norris was still able to throw in the wet conditions. He actually threw really well in the wet conditions. And Avon Lake did too, but Avon Lake was more on the ground making passes, and they ran the ball a little bit, and they mixed in the passes to Aiden Stewart. I mean, once he caught the ball, he made a move, I think twice, and he was gone. I mean, he is quick, and he's very good once he gets the ball after the catch. So, I think Cole Norris still throws a really good ball, and that team did not give up. They're down 28-0, and you could tell Avon Lake was kind of running away with it. But in that fourth quarter, Coach Thome got them playing pretty well, even in the crazy conditions, and they were loving it. So it was an exciting game, but give Avon Lake credit. Coach Kostelnik had that team playing really good defense. They had a balanced offensive plan, and they executed very well at a high level in that game.
And as you mentioned, Avon Lake will take on Elyria next week, and Elyria, they just first year under Coach Wilson, it has obviously has not gone the way they wanted it to. But really, the first time, the first year in a school in a conference like this, more often than not, it's going to be a tough one, especially when you're going against all these established teams. And Coach Wilson's very familiar with this conference, obviously from his time at Berea Mid-Park. But we'll see if what I think what we can all say is that the Pioneers don't quit. They play hard. If there's anything we know about Coach Wilson, he gets them ready to play. And right now they're just, they're obviously not where they want to be, but by no means are they going to lay down for the rest of the season. You imagine this might be some opportunities for some younger guys to get some experience and really start to build their way towards 2025. Really, I mean, but when you think about it, though, they're in Division I, Region 1. They really just need to get one win, and they might be able to get themselves into week 11 with the way that Division I is set up. So we'll see if Elyria can get there. To me, Rob, with Amherst and Midview, they both have huge games coming up this week. We've talked about that second echelon of teams in the Southwestern Conference. The upper echelon has been Avon Lake, and Olmsted Falls. North Ridgeville, the last few years, have started to crack into that, and they've certainly done so this year, save for that loss to Avon, which everyone loses to Avon, so that's not really you can kind of throw that one out. Well, these are the games that that Amherst and North Ridgeville need to win to get into that range there, Rob.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's where I think Midview and Amherst are now, is kind of where North Ridgeville was. North Ridgeville kind of stepped up and made a little bit of a jump up. And Avon Lake I thought Berea Mid Park was there last year as well. But now Amherst and Midview, they were in the same point in time that Elyria was. I mean, they only won one game, a few years in a row, actually. And Midview is kind of the same way. And now all of a sudden, they're all taking steps forward. They're learning their system a little bit. I think Elyria, you're right. It's going to take some time. I mean, this is their first full season under this new system, and they only had really the preseason a little bit. So, it's going to take a long time for them to understand the offense and how it works, and same on defense. They're going through all kinds of changes there. But Amherst and Midview, these are important games for them. I mean, I think they feel like they're making that step up. You could tell the confidence level is there. They're having fun. And Coach Thome, he's riding high. Even though they lost, I know they were very disappointed in the loss against Avon Lake, but they're still having an incredible season, and so is Midview. So both those teams are looking to take that next step, and Olmsted Falls is going to be a big challenge. That should be a really good game. And let's see what Cole Norris and that team can do again offensively after coming off of a loss.
Rob, thank you very much. As always, with the Southwestern Conference, great work there. All right, let's shift over to the Greater Cleveland Conference. Noah was at the Cleveland Heights Stromsville game, so he'll certainly get there. But he also looks like he's got some good news for our Blue Devils here. So and his Bees for that matter. So let's get to Noah Jacobson with the Greater Cleveland Conference.
All right, thank you, Ed. And we begin week 6 in the GCC with Brunswick. They were traveling to Shaker Heights, and Coach Carter got his team ready to go playing against Coach Nicholson's team here, as Brunswick will get a 35-3 win against Shaker Heights. Quarterback Sean Burnett was 9-13 for 98 yards and a touchdown. He also did have 8 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Running back Cooper Neal had 13 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Hayden Swarm had 4 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. And then Colin Kovilak, who plays linebacker for the Blue Devils, he had a 99-yard kickoff return touchdown. What a difference special teams makes if you're a Blue Devils fan. And then Shaker Heights, Cornell Beard had 11 carries for 64 yards. And then Shaker Heights special teams, Andrew Mullen had a 36-yard field goal, which was the only points that Shaker Heights had in this game. But Brunswick, Coach Carter's team, would get their second straight win in a row, defeating Shaker Heights 35-3. Brunswick improves to 2-4, 2-0 in conference play. Shaker Heights drops to 2-4, 0-2 in conference play. And then moving on to the next game, Medina was traveling down to Euclid, and Coach Laird, he got his team ready to go in this game against Euclid, as Euclid quarterback Kylan Subal was 11-28 for 229 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. Wide receiver Keyshawn Telfair had 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver James Ticino had 3 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Kymeri Freeson had 2 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Medina quarterback Casey Diallo was 10-23 for 61 yards and a touchdown. And then one of his touchdowns was to Brian Wiltshire. And then special teams made a big play in this one. Cam Sokolowski had a 32-yard blocked punt return for a touchdown. Special teams made a big play. And I also want to give out to Medina kicker Finn Kelps. He made field goals from 28, 30, and 32 yards. What a night for the Medina special teams. But what a night for Medina running back Cooper Josephic. I'll give you his stats here, folks. 27 carries, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he broke Dean Mighty Mike Brubaker's rushing yards in a game in Medina Bees history. That was a record that stood for 77 years, going back to 1947, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. What a record-breaker night that was for Cooper Josephic and the Bees, as they would get the win over Euclid 51-18. Medina improves to 2-4, 1-1 in conference play. Euclid drops to 2-4, 1-2 in conference play. And then Menor They were taking on River Rouge of Michigan. This was a game that was played on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then Menor, the high-powered offense of Scotty Fox and Coach Matt Gray just continues what they've been doing through the first 6 weeks, and they did it again on Saturday as they would get the win 47-21 over River Rouge. Quarterback Scotty Fox was 9 of 15 for 178 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Justin Hodge had 4 catches for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Jackson Farley had 14 carries for 141 yards and a touchdown. Running back Dominic Borey had 11 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. And then Jackson Farley and Dominic Burns combined to rush for 231 yards in this game for Menor, as they would get the win 47-21 over River Rouge. Menor improves to 6-0, still 2-0 in conference play. And then last but not least, the GCC game of the week that I covered was Cleveland Heights. They were traveling to Strongsville. And then this was a game that the rain was lighting up. It wasn't much of a first half weather affair, but it was really coming down as a monsoon bowl in the second half. But Coach Trusty got his team ready to go in this game as Sam Demakia would score the first touchdown of the game with 3:32 in the first quarter. And then Nolan Beard had a chance to get a rushing touchdown to end the first quarter, but it was Sam Demakia getting his second touchdown coming in at 11:55 to go in the second quarter. But Marquise Do-It-All Davis had a 51-yard touchdown in this game. That would close the gap to 14-6. But Strongsville would answer right back as quarterback Noah Beard threw to Alex Espay for a touchdown pass. And then special teams made a big play in this game as Eric Bly returned a punt, fumble recovery for a touchdown in the end zone when the rain was really coming down in the second half in this game. But Coach Trustig and his team, they got a big win against the defending Greater Cleveland Conference champions, the Cleveland Heights Tigers, 28-6. Strongsville improves to 3-3, 2-0 in conference play. Cleveland Heights drops to 2-4, 0-2 in conference play. I also talked with Coach Trustig and linebacker Storm Miller. You can check that out at our website at sportsontap.podcast.com and also on our YouTube page. It'll be there. Moving on to week 7 in the Greater Cleveland Conference. Euclid will be traveling to Brunswick. Cleveland Heights will be traveling to River Rouge, Michigan. That's the second straight time that they'll be going to Michigan this year. Strongsville will be taking on Medina, and Menor will be taking on Shaker Heights. The GCC player of the week is Medina running back Cooper Dosefic. He had 27 carries for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, he broke the Medina rushing yards in a game. That was a record again that stood for 77 years, dating back to 1947. And that is the GCC Week 6 schedule and the Week 7 schedule in the Greater Cleveland Conference.
And Noah, great work there as always. Cooper getting a little bit of that Sports on Tap rub that Sean likes to tout from time to time. Cooper was obviously a great player before he joined our show. It just so happens that he broke the school record for rushing after he joined our show. So congratulations to Cooper and the Medina Bees for getting a win there. We'll go to Sean's thoughts about that during his Suburban League Burke and conference there. Sean, as we're seeing things kind of shake out here in the Greater Cleveland Conference, Strongsville, right now they have nothing but conference games in front of them. So right now, them and Menor are tied. They're both undefeated in conference play. Cleveland Heights, with Marquise Davis back, what we assume is relatively full health. He's been running wild again, like we're used to seeing him there. But I don't know if we anticipated the Cleveland Heights having 4 losses at this point of the year. And quite honestly, they were real close to losing to Brunswick in their own right there. What do you think is going on with Cleveland Heights? Well, let's going back to your game. What did you see from Strongsville that they were able to neutralize Cleveland Heights?
Well, I really see what I was talking about last week, with the turnovers coming from Strongsville, and that was a big difference really in this game was the turnover and the defensive play by Stormville and all those guys who played for the defense. And Marquise Davis, who had like 300 plussing rushing yards last week against Better, he only had 142 yards in this game, but give Strongsville's defense a lot of credit. And Cleveland Heights, they've been banged up so far with like injuries. I mean, Brandon Caesar, their star West Virginia recruit, he was out in this game. So was Jaquan Stubbs, the Minnesota commit. So there's been a ton of injuries for Cleveland Heights, and that's why they haven't had the season they want to. But like you said, they did get Marquise Davis back, which is a big piece to that offense.
That's fair. And you want to give, and we obviously give Strongsville all the credit for, I mean, you hold someone like Marquise Davis to 140 yards. That by his standards, that's pedestrian. For most high schoolers, they will take that 10 times out of 10. So to your point, big props to the Strongsville defense. And they're starting to come into their own a little bit here. They had a tough game against a very good Benedictine team. The loss against Solon, that's probably one they want back, but their losses are to good teams. They're solid programs, and they have a couple winnable games coming up here with Medina and Shaker Heights. They can get those two games. You have a potential for almost a winner take all against Menor, even though you have the Brunswick game sneaking up after that. They obviously aren't going to overlook any of those, but this game against Medina will clearly show where Strongsville is in the conference, and see if they can slot themselves in as the second best team in the conference going up into a very tough game against Menor in a few weeks. Very good. All right, so great job, Noah, on the Greater Cleveland Conference. Let's shift over to our friends in the Suburban League. We got the Natty and the American. We have Josh Jeffy and Sean Duffy. As always, we will start with Josh Jeffy with the Natty. Take it away.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, we actually had two non-conference games this week in the Natty. We will start with Solon. They traveled to Warren G. Harding, and unfortunately for Solon, they went out there and could not do anything offensively as they came away with a 24-0 loss against the Raiders. The Comets gave up 222 yards, on the ground to Harding. 5 Harding players had rushing yards 10 or more. And they were led by Steven Sims, who had 14 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown. And this one, Solon drops to 2-4 on the season. Warren G. Harding improves to 4-2. The other non-conference game, really fun and exciting game. Padua took on North Royalton. And the Bears were up 14-7 at halftime, but they had no answer for Roderick Love of the Bruins. He carried the ball 36 times for a school record 257 yards and 4 touchdowns. However, some positives for the Bears in this game. Joe Calarco had 135 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in this one. He did have a punt return, but that was called back. Punt return for a touchdown, that was called back, so that would have made 3 for him. Cam Saul rushed for over 100 yards in this game, but it was not enough as Padua defeated North Royalton 35-28 in a highly contested matchup. The Bears have now lost 2 games in a row. Now, on to conference play. Nordonia kept on doing Nordonia things. They won 40-14 over the Twinsburg Tigers. It was all Nordonia from the start in this one, Nordonia scoring on all 7 possessions in the first half to lead 40-0 at halftime. The weather played perfectly into the strengths for the Knights. As a team, they rushed for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. They were led by quarterback Ben Chesser, who had 121 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. He also added 70 yards in the air. No need to pass, however, when you have other running backs like Rocco DiLorenzo, who had 81 yards and a touchdown. Kylan Osbey also added 51 yards for the Knights. Owen Smotek had a 48-yard punt return for a TD in this one. Again, it was all Knights, but for Twinsburg, they did get a couple second-half touchdowns, the first coming on a 3-yard run by quarterback Joey Pollock. That was set up by a Cole Kramer interception. The second score came when Pollock hit Kyle Anello from 69 yards to make the score 40-14. That would be the final. Nordonia improves to 6-0 on the year. They're 3-0 in conference play. Twinsburg drops to 2-4. They have yet to win a conference game, sitting at 0-3. Next on the docket, Fellas, breaking news. We no longer have any winless teams in the Natty. Brecksville gets a big 33-13 victory over the Stowe Monroe Falls Bulldogs. The Bees notched their first victory of the season on the legs of Jacob Aterovich, who ran for 153 yards and 3 scores are only 8 carries. Nate Henninger had a TD pass to Carson Zapkar. Sam Caspio returned a fumble for a TD for the Bees. Again, not much went right for the Bulldogs, especially in the first half, as they were down 14-0 at halftime. In the second half, they were able to gain some traction on offense with rushing TDs from quarterback Jake Harrington and Ray Perkis. The Bulldogs' defense, however, could not sustain any momentum as the Bees continued to run the ball effectively. Again, like most games in the area on Friday, the weather played into that very much so. But nonetheless, Brecksville gets their first victory on the year. They are 1-5 overall, 1-2 in the conference. Stowe drops to 2-4. They are 1-2 in conference play. Probably the game of the night in the Natty. Wadsworth defeated Hudson 21-14 in overtime. Now, this recap will probably not do this game justice, but I will try my very best. It was a tough night to throw the ball, as many games did, but Wadsworth quarterback Bryson Hall hit Calix Lemp from 20 yards out in the first possession of overtime for what would end up being the game winner against Hudson. Hall finished 10 of 15 for 106 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. Now, in that overtime period, Wadsworth defense did step up and was able to stop Hudson for the game winner. But before that, there was many things that went on. Pretty good running attack by the Grizzlies. Gavin Madigan ran for 70 yards on 21 carries. Cooper Gray ran for 51 yards and a score. Hudson was down 14-0 in this game when Nathan Judy threw touchdown passes to Anthony Palucci and Reno Furry in the third and fourth quarters to tie this game, which eventually would go into overtime. Nathan Judy finished with 181 yards passing. Now, the key play came with just over 2 minutes left in regulation when Reno Fury had a long run down to the Wadsworth 3-yard line. However, after some discussion, the refs ruled that his forearm was down at the 28-yard line. Hudson couldn't do much after that. They had to settle for a 38-yard field goal that was missed, and that led to the end of regulation in overtime, where, again, Wadsworth was able to score in their first possession and stop Hudson for the win. Wadsworth head coach Justin Todd probably had the quote of the night, and this was in the Medina Gazette or the Akron Beacon Journal. I apologize for which one he said this to, but he said, "This is what the Suburban League is all about. It's always a league championship game. It will be another one next week, and then another one after that." Is he foreshadowing? Well, he just may be. As we, before we move on, again, Wadsworth improves to 6-0, 3-0 in the conference. Hudson drops to 3-3. They are 2-1 in the conference. And when he mentioned about league championship game, we move on to week 7, where Wadsworth will take on and host Nordonia, which is probably one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game, in the Suburban Natty this year. Twinsburg will take on Solon. North Royalton will take on Stowe. Hudson takes on Brecksville. What a fantastic week in the Natty, but I know it was just as fantastic in America. So I'm going to toss it over to Sean. Take it away, my friend.
Well, thank you, Josh. And as always, it's always a great time in the America division. We'll start off, as we always do, Aurora hosting Cuyahoga Falls, despite what my screen says. I should really do some checking of my own when I send this
Good
out,
effort,
but
though.
unfortunately,
Great effort.
I did not. Great effort. Aurora does host Cuyahoga Falls, and they rolled out the welcome mat for the Black Tigers. Unfortunately, they also rolled out 68 points to beat the Tigers 68-7. This game, Aurora jumped out to a 35-0 lead in the first quarter, pulling most, if not all, of their starters by middle of the second quarter. That lead swelled to 68-0 at halftime. Aurora's quarterback Ryan Dwyer only needed a quarter and a half to put up 6 of 8, passing 187 yards, 3 touchdowns. Then they pulled him in the second quarter. Aurora running back Lucas Monderbach only ran the ball twice, but he scored both times, which is, I think, the peak of efficiency. Again, the Suburban League reporters are not known for their math skills. I defer to Professor Ed to tell me if that's a wildly efficient performance by Lucas Manderbach. on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, Manderbach had himself a night, totaling 5 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 hurries to the quarterback. Manderbach is a beast on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. Cuyahoga Falls did get on the board with a Joey Earl pass to Gino Capretto for 26-yard touchdown. It came in the third quarter, but as you can imagine, this game did not last very long as it was a running clock pretty much from the beginning of the game. As Aurora improves to 6-0, they are 3-0 in the conference. They get a 68-7 victory over Cuyahoga Falls. Cuyahoga Falls is 2-4. They are 0-3 in the conference. Next on our docket, we have Highland traveling to Barberton, and Highland continues to do Highland things. They took their show on the road and showed no signs of slowing down as they were able to dominate the Magics 49-7. Highland quarterback Dylan Borla was efficient, 6 of 8 passing, 159 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2 of those passes were to wide receiver Nick Dabrowski. Wide receiver Evan Faust had a touchdown pass. Wide receiver Luke Berkmeyer had a touchdown pass as well. Hey, what happened to Casey Miser? Don't you worry about that. Running back Casey Miser had 11 carries, 95 yards, 3 touchdowns on the night. Barberton's only touchdown came late in the game on a TD run by Mark Tavanello. Guys, Highlands defense has allowed 14 points total in conference play. They are averaging 47 points per game. That, my friends, is a recipe for success any way you slice it. Highland, they are 6-0, 3-0 in the conference. They get a 49-7 victory over Barberton. Barberton 1-5, 1-2 in the conference. Next up, we have Copley traveling to take on the Kent Roosevelt Rough Riders, and Copley notches their second win of the season with a 34-20 victory on the road at Kent Roosevelt in week 6. Copley quarterback Gabe Manzel had a rushing touchdown and 3 passing touchdowns on the night. Wide receiver Andrew McKnight caught all 3 of those touchdown passes from Manzel. Obviously, he found a target, and the Rough Riders could do nothing to stop that connection for the Indians. Copley running back Jason Baines did also chip in on the scoring with a touchdown rush of his own. Kent Roosevelt falls to 2-4 in the season. They will look to bounce back in week 7 as they fall 34-20. Kent Roosevelt 2-4, 1-2 in the conference. Copley an identical 2-4, 1-2 record in the conference. Lastly, in perhaps the most dramatic finish of the week in the American Division, Talmadge scores a late touchdown to escape with a 20-13 victory over Revere in week 6. Talmadge defensive back Caleb Kendrick would pick off Revere's quarterback Luke Ferris with 2:22 remaining in a tied game in the fourth quarter. Talmadge coach calls a double reverse pass for Caleb Reef-Snyder to connect with Robbie Reed for a 64-yard touchdown pass. It's essentially a walk-off win, folks, and it was an insane call. It worked out for the Blue Devils. Talmadge quarterback Ryan Lovelace did have a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown on the night, while Revere quarterback had 2 touchdown passes on the night, both one to Nick Hall, the other to Jolil Blanchard, each having TD receptions in the game. Talmadge escapes on the road to move to 4-2, 2-1 in the conference. Revere, they fall 20-13. They are 4-2 and 1-2 in the conference. The Suburban League Player of the Week nominee, if you're the driving force to get your team off the schneid, you get the love. Brexville running back Jacob Ederovich had 153 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Bees get their first win of the year. Let's move on and talk about what we have to look forward to in week 7. Aurora will host Talmadge. I've confirmed this. Barberton will travel to Revere. Cuyahoga Falls travels to take on Copley. Highland will travel to take on Kent Roosevelt. Guys, that's all I got for the American in week 6 and what to look forward to in week 7.
As Josh likes to say, good effort on both ends there. Lots of exciting games, specifically, obviously, the Wadsworth and Hudson game was everything you wanted to be. But also equally as exciting, the end of the Talmadge Revere game. I mean, we'll start with the Natty or the American real quick. We know where Aurora and Highland are going. I don't think we really need to discuss them at this moment. Revere, we've talked about this earlier in the year, Sean. A game against Talmadge, a like team, those are the types of games that Revere, they need to come away with a win to get themselves into that other echelon of teams within the American, and also give themselves playoff positioning. They have a game against Barberton this week. Barberton traditionally has been pretty good. This year hasn't worked out too well for them, but they're a very dangerous team nonetheless. This is the type of game that I think Revere really needs to get to solidify where they are.
Yeah, I think from a Revere standpoint, they are positioning themselves for the best opportunity for the playoffs. Yep. With 2 losses in the conference, one of them being to Aurora, and now Talmadge, and then you still have Highland on the docket. The likelihood of things breaking their way division-wise, very, very slim.
Right.
I think you're right. I think Revere does have an opportunity to position themselves to get into that top half, maybe to host a playoff game. But again, they're going to have to take care of business, and that means winning all their quote unquote winnable games. And I'll be very honest with you, Highland at this point in time,
not a winnable game.
Is not a winnable game for anyone. And I'm sure the folks in Aurora are saying, hey, wait a minute, what about us? Guys, they are on a collision course to meet in week 10. So whatever happens at that point is just icing on the cake for the American division. But I look at, Revere and Talmadge as both of those teams where they need to make hay while they can, and solidify their positioning come playoff time. And I think it's going to be important for both, not only Revere, but also Talmadge to continue getting better. We're seeing them improve as they come down the stretch here. And again, you take into account the weather last week. It was not ideal passing conditions. It was not ideal. So, those are those ugly games you got to win. And Revere was able, to hold them in check. But, credit to Talmadge. They rolled the dice, they threw the pass, and you know what? It worked out for them. Other than that, they were still going to win that game. I think Revere had a pretty good shot at winning that game until they didn't. So that's what I like about, Suburban League American specifically, is that, yeah, we have Aurora, yeah, we have Highland, but like these games between Talmadge and Revere, Copley, these are good, fun games to follow because they're surprising. I mean, that surprised me last week. I thought Revere was a better team on paper going into that game. I was interested to see how that game shook out, and it didn't disappoint. Now, when I look at the Natty division, that's a fantastic quote by Coach Todd that every week for them is a league championship game, because it is, and they are the hunted. And I'm interested to hear, Josh, what your thoughts are on not only Nordonia but also now Wadsworth. I mean, we got a legit championship game coming up on Friday.
That's a very valid point, Sean. And when you're looking at these two teams, they are eerily similar in what they do and what they do well. The only difference is, I think a surprise for Wadsworth is freshman quarterback Bryson Hall coming in and having such a great year. But if you look at both these teams, it comes down to the running game. And running game and defense. I mean, when I say these teams are similar, both 6-0, both 3-0 in the conference. Wadsworth is averaging 44 points a game, scoring 44 points a game. And they are averaging on defense, giving up only 11. Nordonia, on the other hand, is averaging 40 points a game, and their defense is holding teams to 12.5 points per game. Very similar, and both have outstanding run games that, it's going to come down to it. Now, what both these teams do have somewhat of a problem, and it's been cleaned up a little bit, is penalties. Both these teams, just their style of play, their aggressiveness, they tend to lead to more penalties. And they haven't been bitten by it yet. But when you play good teams like each other, those kind of penalties could loom large. So we'll see how the coaches go into that one with both these teams. Now, Nordonia last week had a pretty easy game against Twinsburg. Wadsworth, however, really is in that full game playoff mode with that overtime win over Hudson. So it's going to be a great game. Now, speaking of Hudson, real quick, just want to look back on them. This is a team that has, they're 3-3, but their record doesn't really show. They're a lot better than their record shows. I mean, they do have losses against Highland and Hoover to start the year. They also have obviously the overtime loss to Wadsworth. All three of those teams are playoff teams for sure. But they have been putting together wins, and their schedule for the last 4 games are very favorable, with the exception it's going to be a hard game on October 11th against Nordonia at Nordonia. That's going to be a difficult game for them, but they've shown they can play with those teams. They are forming, the way that their schedule is breaking down, they could get things kind of rolling a little bit, maybe back and make a good playoff run. So Hudson's going to be a team, in my opinion, a team that you got to look out for.
No doubt. I mean, Hudson traditionally has been on the upper, usually at this point, call it 6-0, 5-1, maybe 4-2. And we talked to, even when we talked to Reno about it earlier in the year, I mean, the Hoover game is the one they really want back. Kind of similar to Stronsville and the Solon, as we mentioned earlier. But there's a good path towards definitely a playoff spot, if not a top 8, to potentially get at least 1 playoff game, if not 2. They're going to have to get some help from some of those teams that they defeated, because right now their defeated opponents only have 6 wins.
Right.
So that we'll get into that game here in a little bit, as far as breaking down.
He's in the cookie jar. It's not
There's
peanut.
nothing. He's in the cookie jar.
There's nothing in the cookie jar. That one is from my parents and my grandparents.
He's checking though.
Peanut, where are you?
Be careful with that. No, be careful with that. Peanut was already on screen. Thank you very much. We got the immovable. We got the irresistible force against the immovable object going down in Wadsworth, with Nordonia taking on Wadsworth next week. Again, on the Natty side, or the American side, that collision course is going to pick up steam for the next 3 weeks before Aurora and Highland battle it out for the Suburban League American Division Championship. All right, let's shift over to the Cleveland West Conference. This will be a dual effort here between myself and Josh Jeffy. I'll get my stuff out of the way here first. We will start with Buckeye and Valley Forge. Last year, Valley Forge upset Buckeye 28-17, and it ended up forcing a 3-way tie for the Great Lakes Conference East Division Championship between Valley Forge, Holy Name, and Buckeye. Buckeye made sure that did not happen this year at all. The Buckeye defense has been phenomenal the last few weeks. They stopped Valley Forge twice on downs. They also intercepted the Patriots twice. Interceptions by Nick Babylon and Dalen Martin. Bucks senior running back Troy McCann, he had 14 rushes for 91 yards and 3 touchdowns. Senior wide receiver Trey Weidenmeyer. Sean, you mentioned efficiency. The most efficient wide receiver I think I've ever seen so far is Trey Weidenmeyer. He catches the ball, he scores a touchdown. That's just how it goes. He had 1 catch for 80 yards and a touchdown. That's 15 points in fantasy if you're counting just on 1 play. Bucks junior quarterback Turner Dolata. He had 3 of 4 passing for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not a whole lot of passing for Buckeye. The weather certainly allowed for that, but also that's just not their game. Their game is running the ball and really setting up the pass to put Dolata in good situations. So 3 out of 4 passing is a good day for a Bucks passer. But for Valley Forge, they got touchdowns from Lucas Sillinger from a yard out and Evan Tappy from 44 yards out. Patriots running back Cam Wadsworth rushed 17 times for 60 yards. Tappy had 7 rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown. But add that all up, Buckeye with a 45-13 victory over Valley Forge. Buckeye is 5-1 overall. They are 3-0 in the conference. Valley Forge drops to 2-4 overall. They are 1-2 in conference play. All right, let's shift over to Lakewood and North Olmsted. Don't look now. North Olmsted, they now have the owners of a 2-game winning streak. And given how their season started to where they are now, that's significant. They scored 14 points in the first 4 games total. They have since scored 72. They put up 42 in this win over Lakewood. Lakewood did start the scoring as they normally do. Lakewood, they usually get a touchdown right off the bat from Avery Holt. This time it went to Ty Taylor. Eagles countered with a touchdown run by senior quarterback Tommy Horsfall. The Rangers struck back another touchdown pass by Holt. But then North Olmsted responded a 56-yard touchdown run by senior running back Michael Passafiumi. But then the Eagles kind of took over from there. 2 touchdowns by Matthew Chalkwater, another by Horsfall, and another by Naheem Mahmoud. Really put the Eagles ahead. Holt finished the scoring with a touchdown pass to Braeden Greenfield. But add that all up, North Olmsted gets a 42-20 victory over the Lakewood Rangers. Horsfall rushed for 2 touchdowns for North Olmsted. Matthew Chalkwater, he had 23 carries for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. Avery Holt, he usually has his fingerprints all over the offense for Lakewood, and today was no different. 14 of 23 passing for 221 yards, 3 touchdowns. Credit to the North Olmsted defense for forcing 2 picks as well. North Olmsted picks up their second straight win to improve to 2-4 overall. They are now 2-1 in conference play. We have to note this. Their losses right now are to North Ridgeville, Midview, and Amherst and Buckeye. They have 5 losses between them. So like it wasn't they have not been playing teams that are bad. All their losses are to good teams, and they took Midview, Amherst, and Buckeye really to their limits before the quarters just caught up to them. Defensively, they've been very tough all year, save for that game against North Ridgeville. But North Olmsted, they will improve to 2-4 and 2-1 in conference play. Lakewood falls to 3-3 overall. They are 1-2 in conference play. With the last game that I have will be Rocky River against Normandy. Pirate quarterback, junior quarterback Ryan Taylor, he started the scoring with an 80-yard touchdown pass to Cam Balkowski. Normandy senior quarterback Elijah Gray responded with a 17-yard touchdown run of his own. Gray found the end zone again from 10 yards out to give the Invaders a 14-7 lead. Taylor then connected with Danny Berg for a 37-yard touchdown pass to tie the game at 14 for Rocky River. The Invaders got a safety. It was an errant punt snap by Rocky River. Normandy got it out of the end zone, and with that, Normandy took a 16-14 lead. Unfortunately, that was all they had there. It was all Rocky River. Ryan Taylor found Josh Mommers for a 28-yard touchdown pass. Mommers then ran in a 1-yard touchdown, and then Ryan Taylor rushed for a touchdown of his own. And Rocky River comes away with a 35-16 victory over Normandy. Taylor finished 16-27 passing for 327 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also rushed 8 times for 42 yards and a touch. Normandy quarterback Elijah Gray rushed 30 times for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. With the win, Rocky River improves to 5-0 overall. 5-1 overall, 3-0 in conference play. Normandy drops to 2-4 overall, 1-2 in conference play. Our last game of the week was between Westlake and Bay. Josh was there, and let's kick it over to Josh to go through this game.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Bay is one of my favorite places to go to. Top 5 stadium for me, for sure. So it was nice to be back in Bay Village. Not a good night if you were a fan or anyone associated with the Westlake Demons, especially on the offensive end. Turnovers for them, as well as not being on the field all that much due to the Bay Rockets' effective running game and just really their ability to just march down the field using the running game. Not very many passes in this game for Bay. However, their first touchdown, ironically, came on a pass from running back Rocco Hereditario. He hit Colin Brelo from 18 yards out that made the score 7-0. Charlie Rogers, would then add another Bay touchdown with a 57-yard touchdown run. Bay was up 14-0 in the third quarter. Rogers scored his second touchdown of the game on an 8-yard run. And then Danny Barker, the young running back, seems like Bay has a million running backs in their stable. Danny Barker, one of the quickest, scored from the goal line to increase the lead to 28-0. Demons finally got some offense going in the fourth quarter. They did score 2 touchdowns. The first, Sam Bruchari hit Jake Ostrowski with 3:29 left in the game. Then the Demons, I call this one the Demon Special, similar to that of the Philly Special, where there was some tosses to the running back, but Sam Buchari, the quarterback, was open in the corner of the end zone, caught the pass for the touchdown. The score would end up being 28-14. That would be the final, where the Demons would lose the game. The Rockets would win the game and thus keep the Little Brown Jug for another year. Bay improves to 3-3 on the year. They improved to 1-2 in the conference. Westlake, losers of 3 straight, drops to 2-4. They are 0-3 in the conference. In this game, Charlie Rogers did lead the Rockets with 187 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. One key note, though, in this game, Bay running back Rocco Hereditario did lead the game what Coach Rutt calls a foot injury. He is definitely a key piece in the offense, and especially because, for a few drives in the game, there was no quarterback in for the Rockets. It was kind of a wildcat formation. That's something that they do a lot. That's part of their offense, but he is a key piece in that. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see how he is, as Bay looks to kind of build, hopefully, in a playoff run for them. They are now, I believe, in Division 4. They are in Division 4, Region 14. So they're looking to, make a strong push to the playoffs here. But really, I was kind of lucky I picked the game that I did this week because the weather really was not a factor. It did rain heavily for just a few minutes, but for most of the game, just some wind. But the way that Bay runs their offense, I don't think it would really matter. They are nothing but a running team, and we'll throw the pass out there when needed. But it was not needed in this game, as they really was really physical. And that's why I'm looking forward to having Braeden on from Bay, one of the starting offensive linemen for the Rockets. Just one thing about Bay too is the amount that they run, very disciplined, not many penalties when it came to holding or legal procedures, anything like that. Very disciplined team, all around good effort by Bay.
Great job, Josh. Thanks for coming out to a CWC game. Greatly appreciated. And again, the Rutgers didn't look too gaudy, but we knew it had the potential to be a pretty good game, and that's exactly what it was for Westlake and Bay. So some love to the Demons and the Rockets for that from Sports on Tap. All right, let's see what we got going on next week for Week 7 in the conference. First, let me go back to Braeden's to Charlie Rogers. He is the Raymond Fountain State Farm Insurance Player of the Week nominee for the Cleveland West Conference, 187 yards and 2 touchdowns. Week 7, Bay takes on Valley Forge. They will go to Byers Field for that game. Buckeye will take on Westlake. We'll see if Buckeye can keep their streak going. Normandy, Lakewood will take on Normandy. I'm looking forward to that game. You have 2 dynamic quarterbacks with Avery Holt and Elijah Gray. Something's got to give there. That game is going to be fantastic. Then North Olmsted takes on Rocky River. North Olmsted, again, winners of the last 2 games. But Rocky River, they pose a lot of problems, specifically Josh Mammers and Ryan Taylor and Orrin Grieve. They have firepower aplenty. We'll see if North Olmsted's defense is up for the task, and we'll see if their offense can maintain what they've been able to do the last few weeks. Again, after being dormant for the first 4 weeks, they've absolutely exploded. So you have to wonder if Coach Breininger's got, maybe he found something there that he's able to exploit from other teams and is able to start and is starting to put Horsfall, Chalkwater, Passafumi in some good situations. Obviously getting good blocking from the line to really unlock that offense. We're not used to seeing North Olmsted get locked up like that, especially the last few years when they've had superstars like Xavier Balson and Jared Kelly. But North Olmsted, we'll see. Again, they have not played any teams that really you would consider non-playoff contenders. Their losses are to all 4 very good teams. So lots to look forward to as the season rolls on again. We will get more into what the playoffs look like, and I plan on having the standings and the playoff positioning right now up on our website later this week. You'll see that for the Cleveland West Conference. All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have, as Josh mentioned, we will have senior guard and defensive tackle Braeden Capretto from the Bay Rockets. He's going to join us and to talk about the Bay victory over Westlake and what's going on with the Bay Rockets. And then we will do our Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance player. Oh, actually, no, we're not. Josh mentioned, again, remember, voting is still live for the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week contest that will be going on until about midnight tonight. So make sure you're voting and get your favorite player a nice prize package courtesy of Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. And then we will talk about where we are going for week 7. All right, stick around. We'll be right back.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Sports on Tap High School Football Recap Show for Week 6, presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. You just got to hear about him and our other sponsors. Make sure you stay tuned at the end of our show for another word from Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance, along with other sponsors as well. All right, we are very happy to be joined by a tremendous student athlete from Bay. We are joined by senior guard defensive tackle Braeden Capretto from the Bay Rockets. They of the 28-14 victory in our one of the SOT featured games of the week for week 6 that Josh was at. Braeden, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we were just talking about it at the show. We don't normally have offensive linemen on, or linemen in general on our show. So that's certainly an area of opportunity for us on Sports on Tap. But it certainly speaks to how good of a season you and the rest of the Rockets have had on the offensive line. Big win this week over Westlake. Two like teams, but you guys were able to get the Duke there. Talk about the game, the most recent game. You guys were able to get Charlie Rogers untracked. You guys have been opening holes for Rocco. So talk about the game, this most recent game.
Yeah. For Westlake, we were really excited. I mean, it's homecoming game. It's a big rival of ours. We wanted the jug, big trophy game for us. So it was awesome to see our team play as well as we did. We put in a lot of work, especially the line. We had feeling that we were not doing as good a job as we should be doing, but this week we definitely picked it up and opened a lot of holes for running backs. Our also amazing running backs that were able to find them and capitalize off of it.
Hey, you mentioned the running game is huge for you guys. Josh mentioned that you guys do a lot of wildcat, almost to the 1930s single wing style there a little bit there. I don't know if Coach Rudd even refers to that. So the offensive line is very important. How's that kind of evolved over the course of not only this season but since you've been at Bay? The running game and mixing in, trying to get as many running backs on the field as possible.
Well, we definitely adopted this offense more last year, and it definitely has worked for us. It allows us to play heavy on one side as well as mix it up. Sometimes go play weak side, and it definitely allows the offensive linemen to know their specific jobs. There's no like zone block and no confusion. We're gapping down and we're creating a hole that we know where it's going to be and where it's going to hit. So as long as we can stay consistent and continue to do our job the right way we're supposed to, I mean, just keep working.
Yeah, Braeden, on top of that, when you guys run the ball as much as you do, and, you have your assignments, you know exactly where you got to go. So talk about how important technique is, and how well your coaches really drive the fact that you got to have good technique when it comes to blocking. Because I noticed as much as you guys run the ball, you had very little penalties, which goes a long way for you guys and as well as your coaching staff. So just talk about how, important driving home that technique and knowing where and how to block, how important that is to you guys.
Yeah, our coaches definitely do make that a big point. I mean, I would consider us the biggest line. I mean, but so if we use our technique and we're able to move those bigger kids, especially on the when we pull and stuff, we have to stay tight to the line, especially because the minute our pulls get squeezed in or anything, we kind of get trapped into a bubble where we can't, not much movement there. So when we have that good technique, it allows us to create movement and really open up those holes instead of just like having a little crack to run through.
Braeden, you're talking my language right here. This is a former offensive lineman. I'm loving everything you're saying right now. I don't have anything to say to these quarterbacks and running backs other than you run fast, you throw the ball well. What I do want to talk about, though, is you play both sides of the ball. You're a defensive lineman and offensive lineman. Coming into the year, I don't know specifically if that's something you've done, a lot in your career, if that's something you did this year. But, coming into the season as your senior season, what were some of the things from, you mentioned technique. What were the things that you and the coaching staff worked on, not just with you, but as a unit, offensive line, defensive line coming in that you really wanted to focus on coming into the year?
Especially on defense, we were definitely going to make sure we do a lot of slanting to make sure we can throw the offensive line off guard and make sure we can find those gaps and holes and create penetration. So with our defensive line, we're very lucky. We have a lot of people to sub in, keep us fresh and new. But especially with slanting, we want to make sure we're like making it to that other tackle's hip to make sure we're creating that penetration, opening up seams for our linebackers to run through as well.
Braeden, thank you for taking the time and joining us today. And congrats on the win against Westlake. I always ask these players a lot this year. I mean, you guys got good running backs. Like you said, Charlie Rogers, Rocco Hereditario. I mean, the dynamic duo. I could call for you guys as running backs. And then your fellow lineman, Liam Albright, who was the lineman of the year last year in the GLC. But I just want to talk about what's it like blocking for those two dynamic duo running backs, and what's it like playing with Liam, and talk about even some of the other guys who are making a big impact for you the first 6 weeks of the season.
It's awesome. Our like you said, our running backs are awesome. They are awesome at finding the holes that we make from and improvising when something goes wrong. I mean, and for the line, we have amazing linemen. I mean, Liam, Derek, Evan, Danny. Danny's the only one new this year, so it's awesome having a almost fully returning line that we all know each other and played together before. Evan's been amazing as a center. He's always talking, making sure we all know our responsibilities every play. Derek and Liam have set amazing pass pro for us. I mean, Liam especially has been working on it all through the offseason, I know. And Derek has just performed all year. And even our tight ends, when they have to gap block, they have really made a difference in setting that edge and having a place for our running backs to run.
So Braeden, when you're playing obviously offense and defense, I mean you have to be in really good shape because I mean it's probably easy to wear down pretty quick. Which side of the ball do you prefer then? I mean, do you enjoy playing both sides of the ball, or if you could play just offense, would you rather just play offense, or doesn't it matter to you for the most part?
Oh, that's a tough call. I mean, I love playing both sides of the ball. I would never only play one. I mean, I love playing both sides of the ball. Let's do more for my team whenever I can. For the energy standpoint, it's a huge help with how many D linemen we have. There's always rotation going on. So whenever you need a break, you can always tell your coach and you'll have a break available for you. There's very few times where we're short on players, especially on defense, like I said. And I mean, there's always guys ready to step up on offense. I mean, we would hate to see an injury or anything, but if it happened, we're always prepared with that next guy.
All right, let's be honest. Let's be honest, Rob. Here, all right, Braeden, would you rather have a pancake block into the end zone, your running back scores a touchdown, or would you rather blow up an offensive lineman and get to the quarterback? You can be honest. There's no wrong answer.
I got to give it the touchdown.
There you go.
I had to score for the team.
There you go.
Because a pancake block feels so good when you do it. It looks good on film. Like defensive plays, great. You get a sack, you blow up the ball, fine. But if you're doing your job and you're blowing a guy off the ball and you're driving him into the ground and that's on film, you'll have that replaying at your graduation party. Trust me, I know because I had one. It's
Sean
fantastic.
had that. He had that one play.
The
on
one
a loop
play I actually played
for about
well
a half hour
was on. You'd have thought I had 15 of those things when you look at the video.
Did you tell everybody that was
Braeden,
a different play?
I wanted to ask you. Josh mentioned that you guys run a lot of wildcat formation, thing like that. When that type of play comes in, is it requirement? And again, we didn't run a lot of that when I played. So who's the one that the coach trusts to really make sure everyone's lined up correctly? Is it the running back, or do you guys as offensive linemen kind of take that responsibility on because you guys are the focus of that at that point?
I mean, I would say a running back's always there to look after us. If he sees something wrong, he's going to tell us and let us know and fix what we're doing wrong. But I would say the line definitely I mean, we're taught pretty well to know our position and know exactly what we should be doing every play.
Yeah. Now,
hey, coach, those guys in the field.
I wondered, Braeden, did you ever try to talk to Coach Rutt and say, hey, how about I get go block and then I'm in the corner of the end zone ready for a touchdown pass when you're close to the goal line? Have you tried to convince them to get you to catch a pass for a touchdown in your senior year this year?
I always try to hint, but the chances are low. I mean,
not too many guard eligible plays drawn up for guards.
Yeah, I believe Randy Moss has coined the term the Big Six.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman that scores. Hey, on that note, Braeden, I did have another question. Your guys' first touchdown of the game against Westlake, it was actually a pass for a touchdown. Rocco threw a dart 18 yards in the end zone. It caught me off guard. I'm sure it caught Westlake off guard. Like, did you guys have a feeling in the huddle when that play was called that it could catch everyone off guard?
Yes, for sure. I mean, that's the first time we've ran this all year, and we know he's a pretty big tight end for a guy out there. So it's always fun seeing him run down and make that catch for the touchdown.
Now, if he would have dropped it, would you guys give him a hard time, like for now and forever?
Maybe, but we'll see.
He caught it, so you don't have to worry about it.
We're not talking about hypotheticals here, for sure. We're talking with offensive lineman, both two-way linemen, Braeden Capretto from Bay. Braeden, you're a senior in the program now. I'm assuming you come up through the youth program and whatnot. How important is it for you as a senior and your teammates to provide a good example for the younger football players in the community?
It's a big importance. I mean, especially as we're a big senior class leaving, we're going to be losing a lot of guys, especially at the high school level. So at that high school level, we need to especially get the line to have some new people because, I mean, it's almost everyone. And as for youth and everything, it's awesome. We try to do as much as we can for them and get them excited to play at higher levels and make a better team for the future.
Yeah, you cannot overstate the importance of a youth of how youth programs feel about their high school teams. Myself, Josh, and Rob all grew up in Brunswick. We played for Brunswick, and I'll tell you from personal experience. When I was younger, and I got to talk, and we got to go to a football camp with the high school players, or they maybe recognize you and they give you a high five. That small gesture can make the world of difference to a 10, 11, 12-year-old. So it's really good to hear that you guys that you guys take that seriously and really want to cultivate that within the city of Bay. So that's really, really positive to hear. Without getting, we'll get you out on this one without getting too much into the game plan. You're going up against Valley Forge this week. I think we all know what they like to do. They've been doing it pretty well for years. I think it seems like you're going to get a lot of action on the defensive line here with the type of offense they run without giving too much away, because we certainly don't want to do that. What is it about Valley Forge right now that that they do well that you guys are really going to try to focus on?
Especially on that, like you said, on the defense, they run their offense. They've run it for so many years now. We know they have some big guys out there, so we want to make sure our technique, especially, and everything is good. We've been watching film, so we should be ready, and we're going to put in some new defensive formations that should help us out with counter and everything they have. I mean, last year we were very successful, so maybe we'll go back to some of that. Our coaches should teach us up well.
Yeah, absolutely. A 34-0 victory last year over Valley Forge. But obviously, no 2 years are the same. So this will certainly be a different battle, especially with them. They still play well. They still played well against a team like Buckeye and made some turnovers. So it's obviously going to be incumbent upon you guys to continue that as well. Braeden, thanks a lot for taking the time to join us tonight, and best of luck this week against Valley Forge and for the rest of the season. A different playoff region than you used to see in this year. So we're hoping to see the Bay Rockets. I'm hoping to see the Bay Rockets definitely make the playoffs and see what you guys can do in Division 4.
Thank you guys for having me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
That is senior lineman, two-way lineman Braeden Capretto joining us from Bay. Just really, really great interview. Really good insight on the offensive line and what they do at Bay and how they're successful. Josh, as you mentioned, this is a team that they run the ball an extremely large amount of an inordinate amount of times, yet they are not penalized much at all. So that definitely goes to the technique that they've learned from their coaching and being able to stay away from those penalties, because we all know that a team that runs the ball as much as they do, if they get caught with a holding or even just an offside or a false start, them being behind the change, running the ball as much as they do, when everyone knows it's coming, is certainly going to put themselves in a disadvantage.
That's an excellent point that you bring up, and I should say we should have more offensive linemen on because they are a fun interview. So, Sean,
how about
there's
some
the smartest guys in the
defense?
field. There's the
Yeah,
smartest
defense
guys in
too.
the field.
I know, I agree. We don't have enough. I mean, we have usually the quarterback, running back, wide receivers. They all have big performances, but there are a lot of other good players on both sides of the ball to get on here. And maybe hopefully our professional team should watch some technique on that O-line, and maybe they'll be picking up some Bay Rockets to put on that O-line because they're running slim pickings down there at the whole bowl at Brown Stadium.
It's going to be
Huntington Bank Field, Rob. Let's get it right.
Yes, Rob. Huntington Bank Field.
Oh,
please.
sorry, Huntington Bank. I apologize. But if you'd like to be a sponsor also on Sports on Tap, give me a call.
Whoa. It's U.S. Bank first and then all other banks afterwards.
Sean, make it happen.
I tried.
You did.
We are As we've as we mentioned earlier in the show, the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week contest is still live. It'll be going on live until the end of this night. The winner will be getting the shirt that Rob has that he has when he doesn't disappear.
Not moving.
Wait.
I know I'm not moving.
The Sports on Tap Player of the Week.
I don't know why
T-shirt.
doing that.
So we are very, very thankful for Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance for sponsoring the competition. And that shirt is courtesy of who exactly?
Mako. And here I'm going to actually put their website up so everybody can see that. Yeah, they're a new sponsor for us. And they're making all these shirts. Go to their website, mako.com. They print apparel, all of our apparel that we're wearing, the Player of the Week shirts. They do online websites. They print pretty much anything, promotional items. You know, if you have a business, if you have a sports team, any high school, middle school, elementary school, it doesn't matter. They'll do it all for you.
Club.
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah, exactly. And they do a great job. So definitely go to Mako and check out their website.
You mentioned their promotional materials, correct? Their promotional materials are really, really top notch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want drinkware, you want something for your phone, you want bags, you want phone cases, you know, all that stuff.
I mean, I don't use bags a lot, but.
Well, and we should note that we just received the shirts this past week. So for our Players of the Week winners for weeks 1 through 5, we'll be getting those out to you shortly, if not already have been sent. So look out for those. So congratulations to those guys who won. Guys, let's quickly. We still have about 3 hours left, but
sure.
Wait, let's see where we're at here.
Well, I mean, obviously, we got to make sure our West Coast viewers can vote.
3 hours left, and it's getting close, folks. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now because it's pretty impressive. Almost 500 votes, almost 8,000 views. And here it is. Right now we have Brecksville and Medina fighting it off for the Player of the Week.
Old Pioneer Conference matchup.
Battle for the bees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the battle. That's right. No, good call there. 38.4% for Brecksville. Jacob, and how do you say that? Ederovich? Ederovich. Sorry about that, Jacob. But you're ahead right now for the Brecksville brought to you guys Bees.
All right, we just had a student athlete from Bay on the show, Braeden Capretto. So those of you from Bay who hopefully were watching that, let's help our boy Charlie Rogers out here.
Yeah,
great game.
Let's get him up there. Let's start small. Let's get him to 10%, and then after that, let's get to 15%.
I mean, you still have 3 hours left.
Yes. 3 hours left. Let's see if we can get some more love for Charlie Rogers from Bay, helping the Bay Rockets get a win in one of the SOT podcast feature games of the week. I know Cooper Josepsic is also and Aiden Stewart also participating in feature games of the week. I just need a little bit more. We need a little bit more from Bay. That's all I'm asking.
You know what? On a side note, speaking of Charlie, I was actually walking off the field with him after the game. Really nice kid. Was very excited for that victory that he had. And I'm like, you guys just kind of dominated. He's like, yeah, we just kind of did what we do. So he was very excited. I know Coach Rutt, if you go to our Twitter page, had a little asked him a couple questions afterwards about the game. He was very happy for his team's physicality in this game. I think physicalness is a word. If not, I just made up a really sweet word. But overall, physicalness. Yeah, what's not wrong with it? It's good effort.
Hey, you do you, man. You do you.
Thank you. It's 2024. I can do whatever I want. But yeah, great all around game. So please, let's get to 1,000 votes, and let's get some love for Charlie Rogers, Aiden Stewart. Let's be reminded that all 4 of these players are well worthy of the Player of the Week award. among others. It's one of the toughest jobs that we have to do every week is to nominate one player from each conference. There's many nominees. We try to space it out as much as possible. Hey, but like they said, the cream always rises to the top, as Macho Man said.
Yeah.
So
dig it.
So go ahead to vote. You still have 3 hours left. So go ahead and get some more votes in there.
California, get out to the polls and vote. Oregon, get out to the polls and vote. Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, get out to the polls and vote.
There you have it.
There you have it.
Tell you what, I'm not going to be surprised if Braeden Capretto has an absolute breakout game in some of the next weeks to hopefully get that Sports on Tap push there. And there's certainly going to be the opportunity for that this week. I would say the over/under. Now we're not a betting team here. We're not a betting thing at all. So what I will say is the ball is not going to be in the air too much this week. I don't believe. I think the ball is going to remain on the ground. This game might be over in an hour and a half.
Now, Ed, would you give our show credit if he caught a touchdown pass coming up in this game coming up?
That's SOT magic. That's SOT magic.
Oh yeah,
baby.
I put that put that little idea in his head. He's probably like, that's a good idea. Maybe I got to talk to Coach Rudd about that. That'd be pretty sweet.
I would
Coach
agree
Rudd,
with that.
just saying, nobody's going to expect that.
Well, maybe not for Braeden, but one of the
offensive linemen, though. I just gave him a great idea.
Hard. I mean, you'd have to completely unbalance the line. You'd have to be the end man in the line of scrimmage.
I mean, if you have five to the side, and have, I mean, you could push him out to tackle.
Just rotate him around.
You might give him away at that point. Who knows? But yeah, a guard eligible is not one you normally see. That's for sure. All right. Definitely some good fun there with Braeden and the Bay Rockets there. Let's talk about where we are going next. This coming week, I think we have 2 games on the docket. We very much talked about one of these games already. Another one may fly under the radar for some of you folks, but nonetheless, this is going to be a great game that we're going to go out to. So let's take it away. Let's start with that game. Sean, representing the American division, where you headed?
Yeah, and I gotta go. I thought to myself, I said, they got a new stadium down there. We talked to one of their players. Someone go check out Cuyahoga Falls and Copley at the new Copley Stadium this Friday. I'm coming Copley. I'm excited. It'll be fun to go down there. I've been down there in a long time. Looking to see if Cuyahoga Falls can recover. I mean, look, it was ugly last week. But they got to rebound. They got to come back and play. And Copley is starting to move in a good direction. So we'll see. Definitely should be fun. I'm looking forward to being out there with everybody and hopefully getting some good footage and uploading it to our YouTube page. Noah, where the hell are you going?
Well, Scott and the rest of you guys, I was texting Josh a couple of weeks ago and said, what game was he doing? And he said he was taking this week off. So he's handing me the keys this weekend. I'll be switching it up from the GCC to the Suburban Natty, ladies and gentlemen.
Noah, you're 21 now. You can enjoy the Natty.
Good effort.
Definitely, Sean.
Good effort, Josh. Good effort.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to go back to Wadsworth. I mean, it'll be the first time since I went to that playoff game last year, and I'm really excited to go see this matchup. I mean, 6-0 Nordonia against 6-0 Wadsworth. I mean, these are 2 high-powered offenses, like you mentioned, Josh, that are averaging 40 points a game. Defenses are allowing 12 points a game. And I'm really excited to see how these 2 defenses are really going to come out in this game. I mean, this game could go either which way in this one, but I am really excited about this game. I'm sure possibly the whole Wadsworth Nordonia fans have been waiting for this game. And I am really excited, as all of us are, to cover this game this weekend for the Suburban Net.
Well, no, I'll just give you a little bit of advice with both these teams, especially Nordonia. Get your running shoes on because they're no huddle offense. You're going to be moving. So be prepared. I think this is going to be.
Go pop a hammy, Noah.
Right. I think this is going to be.
You're running all day.
This is going to be, I think, a very close game. And I think it could be relatively high scoring.
That's what I was going to say. Is it high scoring or is it a defensive
I can see it going. I can see it going either way, but I think these two offenses, especially the running games, are very, very good. And it's going to be a great matchup. Very jealous, Noah. Wish I could be going, but I know the game is in good hands. So looking forward to watching your highlight video that will be available on our YouTube page after the game, but also be following us for both these two games on our Twitter page with updates and video highlights.
There you have it, folks. We are going to be at Cuyahoga Falls at Copley, and then Nordonia at Wadsworth. The American Division contest there between a couple 2 and 4 teams, but nonetheless, there's some pretty points on the board there, and obviously a de facto very early Natty Championship game. I know Hudson still got something to say about that with Nordonia. If Nordonia were to win this game. That could certainly set up a potential for a 3-way tie, but Wadsworth can all but wrap it up with a victory here over Nordonia. All right, that's going to do it for the show tonight. We thank you for watching this. Again, you're watching this live on your YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube. Make sure you get the notifications when we are about to come on the air. We are also on Spotify, Sports on Tap. And you're going to follow the games with us this Friday night at SOT Podcast on our Twitter page. We are at Threads at SOT_podcast, Facebook is Sports on Tap, and our website is sportsontappodcast@sportsontappodcast.com. Email us at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. For Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, Josh Jeffy, and Sean Duffy, my name is Ed Dick. This has been the High School Football Show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. We are Sports on Tap, and we will see you on the other side.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.